Lesson 49. Topic: Angels, Appendix, how you can help in the tasks of the angels. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I am Ola, in case you have forgotten my name. I don't say it often in any of my lessons, but so that you realize that what is written in this text is not the product of the medium who is writing what I say, but rather everything I say is of spiritual origin. It was not written by any incarnated human. On many occasions, you are hindering the work of the angels, besides having a rather thankless job, which they generally perform with you. You are also preventing them from carrying it out with your attitude, your negative aura, and your closed minds, trapped in your mental worlds, which only distance you from reality and creates a hatred around you that makes their work impossible. Let's start with the first one, with the angels who are closest to you, those in intimate communication with you. If you allow them, and they are there to help you. In this case, their work is greatly hindered by your close-minded attitude, as I mentioned before. In this case, if you are not in the same frame of mind to meditate, or if you are busy and don't allow your mind to relax, you must achieve a state as far removed as possible from the problems surrounding you. I know it's very difficult. If you know you are in a difficult moment, your mind is in a state of great anxiety, and you know that the angel is there to communicate something important to you, or to help you in a moment of great danger of your life. What you must do is be aware that the angel is going to communicate with you. This will make it possible for you in this very difficult moment to concentrate, even if only for a couple of seconds, on creating a mental bubble around you, even if only 2 or 3 seconds. In that bubble, you will be isolated from the problem affecting you, and at the same time, the desire for the angel to communicate with you, to help you, facilitates communication. You cannot call upon him, he will come, have no doubt. You already know that angels come in times of difficulty. Having both circumstances present, the active bubble in which external problems cannot penetrate, and the desire to communicate with your angel, this will allow you to open a door through which the angel can enter you, making communication possible, and this will often save lives. When someone is in life-threatening situations, people often enter a special state in which they see their surroundings as distant, as if they are not affecting them. This is very common, and many people in these cases have also heard the voice of a spiritual entity giving them advice, and thus they have been able to save their lives. This has happened to many people, and it can happen to you too. It is an easy way to communicate with the angel. To have good communication, it's best to meditate regularly, to open your mind, and this will allow you to keep the door open to the spiritual world. The first one to communicate with will be your angel. Sometimes, even in these circumstances, angels don't want to communicate with you, at least not initially. They want you to experience difficult times so that you can learn how much you can endure, what your mental endurance is, and how open you are. Often, they do this as a test, and this also applies to you. To experience these states of difficulty, it will allow you to become stronger and at the same time detect the states of communication that you have been able to create by building the mental bubble I explained earlier. Once you have detected it, you know what you have to do to create it. In other words, it serves as training. That's why sometimes in the first moments of these difficulties, the angel won't communicate, because they need to test the level you have reached and how capable you are of communicating with them. Once they have seen how far you have come, and because communication needs to be as perfect as possible, especially for certain individuals with important missions, the angels know how to enter you because you have waited for these states of communication during periods of difficulty. This will rapidly raise your mental level because you will then know that communicating with the angel will be mandatory, especially periodically through meditation, and this will accelerate your learning and training. Therefore, in this case, you already know what you have to do. Persevere until you achieve the goal, which, as you know from the lessons I have given previously, is to communicate with the spiritual world as effectively as possible. Now, I want to talk about the other case, the angels who are around you and who are there to help you in the transition of death. I spoke about them in the previous lesson. First, we will talk about the case in which people have not meditated in their lives, who lack the necessary open-mindedness to have good communication with the angel. From the very beginning, which is the most common case, what happens is that they are in the final stages of death. The body is deteriorating rapidly, and the only viable end for that body is for the soul and energetic bodies to disappear from the physical body because it can no longer maintain vital functions. In this case, for those who are at this moment, usually, when the soul is about to leave the physical body, the mind enters an altered state of consciousness, which allows communication with the spiritual world. Ideally, this mental state would last long enough for the communication to be effective and for the person who is about to die to have sufficient time for the angel of death to instruct them enough to know what to do. This almost never happens, except in few cases. In this case, what usually happens is that the angel instructs the dying person as quickly as possible, and the communication occurs between this guardian angel and their deceased relatives, who guide them to the point of entry into the lower heaven. This is the most they usually do. In other more extraordinary cases, where the dying person has greater experience in meditation and a very open mind, the guardian angel will easily enter their mind. The dying person will hear the messages quickly and easily, and if they have the necessary level of instruction in the spiritual world, they will already know much of the knowledge that the angel of death has given to them. The transition to the other world will be much faster and not at all traumatic. In the case of people like those in the first instance who have had no experience with meditation in their lives, to facilitate their transition, those of you listening to this message can tell those who are in this transition if you know any family members or friends, so that their passage to the other world is much easier. What they have to do is simple, although for many it isn't. They have to try to detach themselves from the desires of possessions in the material world. They have to free themselves from the material desires of money, of wealth, of human sensations, according to them, have made them strong, such as hatred, having control of power to do with others as they please. In short, they have to try to distance themselves from what their life has been. I don't mean that they should forget it. I mean that they should realize that they have acted wrongly, that they should repent, that they should deeply analyze themselves and realize that they have made great mistakes. And when they have done that, they will be in a position to want to communicate with. Once you have detached yourself from the material world, which no longer seems to be appealing, you should desire to communicate with your guardian angel. Your mind will then be ready to enter the altered states of consciousness, in which communication with the angel of death will be much easier. This is good advice for the dying who are attached to the earth. Don't be ashamed to tell them. I know that the spiritual world is taboo for many of you, and in society, being spiritual is frowned upon. People will tell you you're crazy, you're very wrong. The dying person will leave with a smile on their face and will be eternally grateful. The other alternative is undesirable. Living here, if the advice of your angel of death or deceased relatives, is a sure path to the lower astral plane for a very long period of suffering. You might say it would be like your personal hell, but it's not as bad as you make it out to be. When you record EVP, electronic voice phenomena, you usually only hear screams and wails. These are the inhabitants of the lower astral plane. In another lesson, I will address this topic and how to help those who are there. I have spoken quite a bit about these angels of death. I could say much more, but I will delve deeper into the subject in another lesson because it's very interesting for you to communicate with them. Now let's look at the work that angels do in battles. These battles last eternally, although sometimes they occur only occasionally. Every so often, great battles take place with a large number of combatants on each side. Some reincarnated beings participate in these battles. They are very few, as I have said many times. We want many more people of you to participate. We are fighting for your planet. Every planet where there is intelligent life, or where there is a solar system or a group of star systems that needs our help, has its own spiritual battle. That is why spiritual battles in the universe never end. They are eternal, although there are ups and downs in the pace and the number of combatants. What you can do to help them is improve your state of mind. By doing so, you will improve the aura surrounding the planet. Instead of being so red and having such an ugly color between red and black, the aura must become a light blue-white. This is the guarantee that the aura has a positive energy that the combatants in the spiritual world need to wage battle and gain the advantage. Therefore, what I am recommending is that you meditate. Through meditation, you greatly improve this aura surrounding the planet. This aura is connected to the lower astral plane and to the astral dimension surrounding the planets. Once this aura improves, the battlefield becomes less favorable to the entities of the negative side, and therefore they can fight with much less force and can be defeated more easily. That is why we ask you to meditate. Ideally, besides people meditating to improve the planet's aura, you yourselves should participate in the battles, raise your mental and spiritual level, and know how to fight while on astral journeys. You must encounter these beings incarnated like yourselves, who have become great fighters and can teach others like you how to fight. In many cases, it is common for those who wish to learn to fight these skilled fighters. These skilled fighters train this group of people who want to learn, and the army of light grows even larger. The disembodied spirits, or those who have long forgotten what life was like when they were incarnated, have almost forgotten everything about living in these physical dimensions in which you live. So, when they see an incarnated human fighting alongside them on this battlefield, they see it as an example of what can be achieved with perseverance, hard work, and a will to overcome. It gives them hope, because some of you want to fight with them against the evil that wants to seize the lower dimensions of reality so that it can control the universe. The higher dimensions can be controlled by the forces of light, because the spiritual hierarchy is opposing it. They are fighting them with great force, but the lower dimensions, those closer to planets with intelligent life, are being occupied by the evil ones. That is their intention. That is why it is so important that this battle takes place very frequently and that your participation be as great as possible. The other work that the angels are generally engaged in is already far beyond your capacity of involvement, so to speak. Their other activities are communications between the spiritual hierarchy, that is, they act as messengers. Sometimes some of them are tasked with observing without intervening, acting as messengers of what they have seen. Other tasks in which angels are heavily involved, and which you can certainly help, involve angels of a slightly lower rank than the angels of death. Their function is to detect potential incarnate beings who are about to pass away. In this case, what you must do is each day offer good wishes to all these angels who perform an enormous task on your planet, serving you. Give them a moment each day, offer them your best wishes so they can carry out their work as effectively as possible, and send them as much positive energy as you can. At the same time, ask for their help so that your life is not so full of difficulties, and so that you can achieve the goal of drawing closer to the Father. The Father will give you the strength to reach these goals and to facilitate the work of the angels. Something as simple as this makes the mission of helping you in your life much easier. If you meditate, it will obviously be much better. Take a few minutes each day to remember them. Send them positive energy so that they can do the job as best as possible, and ask for their advice in times of difficulty. If you can properly open your mind with this training, you will gradually hear them. I think that's enough. The person writing this message is already tired. So until next time, brothers and sisters.